what's good, y'all? I decided to do something really crazy. I'm gonna show you exactly what I would do step by step if I were to start my credit repair business or if I were to start my coaching business from scratch. I'm gonna show you my exact client acquisition system. I'm gonna show you exactly how I would run paid ads. I'm gonna show you how I would retarget my audience. I'm gonna show you how I would get clients to pay me high ticket. And I'm gonna show you how I build out my entire infrastructure model to automate my business. And in this video, I'm gonna show you everything you need to know about building and leveraging my exact optimal growth model and my newly improved client acquisition system that I call the DM Glitch 2.0. And I'm also gonna cover the CRMs that I would use, the tools that I would leverage, and some of the stuff that I currently use now for my business. So without further ado, let's get to this training. So I got introduced to credit repair at the tail end of 2013, and I have over a decade worth of experience, not just in credit repair, but in the online world in general. And since then, credit repair has opened up so many doors for me that I will always be grateful for. So my goal is to pretty much give you clarity on how to bridge the gap between where you are now and where you want to be. So now what I want to do is I want to build some trust with you, and I'm going to, tell you a little bit about myself and why you should take anything I have to say seriously. I started taking on clients in 2014, and in this picture, you can see that I was at this credit boot camp for Dispute Suite, and I was just trying to soak in as much knowledge as I can about the industry. And I made some great contacts here, including, Jose. You guys probably know him as the credit dude, and we've been pretty cool since then. In a short amount of time, I got really good at getting people results. As you can see in this picture here, these are some client success stories that I've gotten over the years. I have a folder filled with screenshots like this. Most of these testimonials you can find inside of my free private Facebook group called Credit on Point Secrets. In August 2016, I opened up my first office in Lauderdale Lakes, Florida. And this was my first taste into the real business world. And I had to learn sales and lead generation, whether it was through cold calling leads, running ads, buying live transfer leads, which I hated, by the way. And I had to learn how to hire and manage a team. And more importantly, I had to learn how to survive in business every single day. And having that office was like trying to survive the jungle. You know what I'm saying? And even though things didn't go the way that I wanted to, I learned a lot from this experience. And I ended up shutting down the office after 2 years because credit repair wasn't making enough money. And the other verticals that I tried out was pretty much a disaster. And honestly, I should have shut down the office way sooner than that. But being that, I'm a fighter, right? I wanted to exhaust all options before I called it quits. So then I took some time out to learn how to attract clients the right way. And I started learning different tactics, different things, because I was so tired of relying on referrals, word of mouth. I hated buying leads with a passion, and I didn't want to hire another ad agency. That wasn't happening. I wanted to learn how to do this all by myself. So fast forward, while I was working with my first online coach, Tanner, I learned how to create funnels and how to run ads, and I got really good at it. And I was acquiring new clients left and right for my credit repair business, and his program really taught me the importance of having a coach and surrounding myself with like-minded people. After a while, I made a slight pivot from running a credit repair business to helping credit repair business owners with their client acquisition problems. If you take a look at the screenshots, these are some of the client success stories that I had from several business owners that I've helped. As you can see here, if you see this screenshot from Deverick Watson, for example, I was able to help him generate a couple $1 million with using my strategies. With Janata Turn over here, you can see I helped her generate over 30K per month using my systems and processes. And if you look closely, you'll see in this month, she had already reached 30K midway through the month. You also have London right here. She makes about 10K per month with her business, and she was able to do this in a short amount of time. Juan Rivera right here, you can see he closed 5 deals in 1 day using my process, and the list goes on and on, right? This was a transition that honestly was the favorite part of my journey because I was able to help entrepreneurs better themselves and make money through the process. Once I realized that client acquisition was in high demand for credit repair business owners, I pretty much stuck to it full time. And that's when I accidentally learned how to sell high ticket and got really good at it. I actually tell this story in one of my YouTube videos, and you could probably find a clip on my Instagram page. And as you can see in these screenshots, I've closed a ton of high ticket offers for a very long time. Tickets ranging from 7,500 to as high as 15K. And I've generated a good amount of revenue for myself during this journey. And like I mentioned at the beginning of this video, I have a ton of experience when it comes to sales, marketing, selling high ticket offers, and how to operate an online business. But this journey was far from easy. So I'll do my best to be as meticulous as possible. You definitely want to watch the entire training, especially when I break down my newly improved client acquisition system and the way that I set up my infrastructure towards the end of this training. Now, before I touch on the specifics of what I do, it's super important that you understand what makes everything work to begin with, which is the core six. From my experience, most of the issues business owners experience fall into one or more of these categories. Okay. And number one, you have the offer, which is the foundation. Most of the issues a business goes through typically stems from here. This is the most important part that people typically overlook, which is why most business owners struggle with trying to scale. Number two is marketing, which is supposed to attract the right eyeballs to your offer. Number three is sales, which is how you convert those eyeballs into clients. Number four is talent, which are the people who do the things that allow your business to run without having you do all of the work yourself. Number five is operations. This is the infrastructure that allows everything to run efficiently together. And finally, number six is mindset. This is where you define who you are, right? This is where you decide whether you want to treat your business like it's a hobby or if you want to build a movement where people look up to you. Your mindset is the reason why your business has life to begin with. Now, whether or not your business survives revolves around your mindset. And throughout this video, I'm going to share my state of mind, that I had back then and where I'm at right now. That way you understand why I go about a specific thing in a particular manner. Okay, so now let's get into the training. Now, the first thing I want to focus on is building the client growth journey that's going to allow me to attract serious high paying clients. And most of you are probably wondering, what's a client growth journey? It's really simple. It's pretty much the journey your prospect goes through to become a paying client. And the client growth journey is broken down into four quadrants. The first one being the identity. This is where you figure out who you want to target, how you're able to help that specific person, and define your specific offer to address their needs. Now, the next one is attraction. This is where you want to create an asset or assets that's going to grab the attention of that specific person. So essentially, you're going to give value in return for their attention. Okay. And then number three is the vehicle. Once you grab their attention, this is the vehicle that's going to guide that person through the client growth journey. Sorry. And number four is conversion. This is where you're going to convert highly engaged prospects into qualified leads or a client by encouraging actions such as scheduling a call, signing up for your service, et cetera, right? Now, here's where most people mess up. When it comes to the client growth journey, they put all of their focus into one area. For me, I used to put most of my focus into the vehicle and the conversion. Why? Because I was so hell-bent on trying to get people to sign up as clients, right? I wanted to get as many clients as possible. And because of this, I worked with a lot of people that I hated working with, and I ran into a lot of issues when I tried to scale my business. This time around, as I'm building out this new offer from scratch, I'm going to show you how I'm going to put most of my attention into the identity and the attraction phase, because that's essentially the foundation of your business, in my opinion. And these are super important parts of the client growth journey. And if you can master both of these steps, the sales process becomes a lot easier. So first, I want to create my identity. And this is going to allow me to build a foundation of who I'm targeting. I want to gain as much leverage as possible in my identity. See, because back then, I was taught to target anyone with poor credit, right? So all of my content, my marketing, my approach was credit repair related. The problem with that is you're targeting the same type of generic person that everyone else is, and your service becomes commoditized. Nowadays, the supply and demand for credit repair is at an all-time high because people have way more options and they dictate the market because of this. And here's the thing, because of that, they get to drive the rates down and your prices and your service go down, and it forces you to have to compete with smaller businesses and jump through all types of loops. This creates competition, and when you're in competition, you lose leverage. So you don't want to have a commoditized offer at all. So my goal would be to separate myself from the competition and become the big fish in a small pond, opposed to being a big fish in the ocean. If I was starting a credit repair business from scratch, I am not targeting people with bad credit. I'm targeting a specific person who has a specific goal, but their credit scores are stopping them from getting to their desired outcome, right? So, for example, real estate investors looking to acquire funding to invest into multi unit properties, okay? If I was starting a coaching business from scratch, I would target credit repair business owners who need help with getting clients and growing their business. And this decision is real simple. I'm already familiar with the industry and I have over a decade worth of experience in this field. One of the biggest mistakes I see online coaches make is they go straight into a niche that they know nothing about. For example, if you've been in the fitness world your whole life, I don't recommend targeting online coaches. That honestly makes no sense. Go with what you know. And if you want to eventually target online coaches, then build some experience online first. And then when the time is right, you can pivot. Now, if you're just getting started and you have no type of experience and you're having trouble finding your niche, then here's what you do. You focus on one category within the core six, just one. You identify a common problem that business owners struggle with, and then you figure out ways to solve those issues. See, business owners, they will pay you good money if you can remove roadblocks out of their way and solve their problems. So you can either pick a random category that you're really interested in, or you can just pick a category that you're familiar with the most. For example, maybe you've done sales for a period of time, or maybe you're working at a marketing department of a company, or maybe you're just one of those people who move real militant, right? You're super organized, you're routine, you follow a schedule, and you're very disciplined. And more importantly, you get stuff done. Well, then mindset might be the niche that you want to pretty much go after, because I can tell you from experience, entrepreneurs struggle with that stuff, right? We're messy, we lack discipline, we're all over the place, especially when we're just getting started. So let's say you choose mindset. Well, now what you do is you take your skill set within that category, you find a market in need, such as online coaches and entrepreneurs. You can get even more specific by targeting a niche within those groups. Then you identify the mindset problems that they struggle with, develop solutions for each problem, and solve those problems for free initially. Okay. You want to make sure that you over deliver on what you promised them and then ask for client feedback. If your services are good and they're happy, then you can offer your services for a fee. If not, then use the constructive criticism that they're going to give you to improve on your services. After working with about, I'll say 3 to 5 clients, you should have enough experience and insight to understand what the market wants and how you can help them achieve their goals. So I'm going to run that back one more time. You're going to pick a specific category from the core six. You're going to find a major problem that business owners are dealing with. You're going to come up with solutions to fix it. Okay. Then you're going to offer your help for free at first to build up some experience and insights. And once you get the hang of it, you start charging for your services. It's as simple as that. So now that I have an idea of who I would be targeting, I would map out my offer framework by completing my 7-figure worksheet. Now, here's the thing. I'm not going to go into details on the 7-figure offer. I do have a couple videos touching on this topic. If you go on my Instagram page, you can actually see that I have a video labeled Attract Dream Clients, where I just break down everything for you. Just go watch that video after you finish this training. You can also complete, you should also complete the 7-figure offer worksheet after watching this video. And if you want access to that, just shoot me a message on Instagram and I'll send you the link. This is pretty much going to be the foundation of your identity. Don't overthink this process. You can always make changes to this over time. Just complete the worksheet before you do anything else. Now, there are 3 ways that I can deliver on this service. There's do it yourself, where you can give the clients all of the instructions and the tools to do the task on their own. I wouldn't recommend this because without accountability, from my experience, most people won't finish. Okay. Sure, you'll have a few that complete the program and they'll leave you great reviews, but a lot of clients will struggle. They're going to complain that it doesn't work. And these dissatisfied clients can pretty much become headaches, especially when you're charging high ticket prices, because they're going to feel like the program wasn't worth it. And it doesn't matter how good the information is, how valuable it is, they're just going to feel that way. Okay. Now, there's also the done for you approach where you can handle everything for the client. The problem with this model is that it's very tough to scale, and you can probably take on a few clients, but once you try to actually scale this model and having to manage so many moving parts, that's where it's going to get really tough to execute. Okay. This model is pretty damn hard to execute. I'm not gonna lie to you. So I personally wouldn't take this approach either. And again, I did this model for a few months and honestly, I hated it with a passion. Now, finally, there's the done with you approach where the client and I would pretty much work together to complete the project. We share responsibilities, making the process more personalized for them, and it increases the likelihood that the client's going to get success. This is my preferred approach for any coaching program. Now, as far as credit repair goes, I also recommend taking the done with you approach because it gives you an insane amount of leverage, right? You don't have to box yourself into offering credit repair as a service. You wouldn't have to pretty much worry about all these compliancy issues and so forth because you would be offering a coaching program and credit repair would just be included as a package. And number two, if you can solve more problems for your clients outside of just credit repair, they will pay you more money and they'll stick around a lot longer and they'll refer more people to you. Now, here's the thing. If credit repair is all you know, you should consider forming a strategic partnership with someone that complements your program. For example, partner with someone who's good at building business credit profiles, or partner with someone who has a proven process in investing into real estate. That's exactly what I did with my good friend Juan Pablo with 100% Finance. He knew real estate investing, I knew credit repair, we partnered together, we made some good money, and then we helped a lot of people along the way. Now, this may sound a bit challenging at first if you don't know how to help your clients outside of credit repair, but if you can figure out a way to do this, then you'll have so much leverage because you're charging a higher ticket. You'll be able to improve your systems and processes much quicker. You can use this same exact process for traditional credit repair. Most of my past clients had a traditional model where they charged a monthly fee. I'm just telling you what I would do. As long as you're very specific on who you're targeting, how you can help them get to their desired outcome better than the competition, and you can deliver on your promise, then this process will work for you. As far as online coaching goes, it's real simple. I'm packaging my services as a high ticket offer. This route will give me more leverage to pretty much attract serious clients who are committed to the process, get better client results because I can invest into improve my systems much quicker, and I can hire better talent because I can afford to pay more. And that's pretty much it for the identity phase. Now we got to focus on gaining attraction. How do I get eyeballs on my offer? So first, I got real specific on my offer, and now I want to grab the attention of the exact people that I'm trying to target. So in my earlier years in credit repair, I focused mainly on posting credit repair results and letting people know that I had credit repair services that I offered. Then I fell into the same trap with my coaching program because everyone was saying, sales, 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 sales. You don't need nothing but booked appointments and sales. Like, that's it. That's all you got to focus on. The problem with that is I was only thinking about myself. There's nothing in it for the potential client. This time around, in order for me to do this effectively, I would focus on building sales assets that mainly benefited my prospects. Once you find that one valuable asset that your market loves, you can recreate different versions of that asset, which will last you a very long time. And you can use that over and over again. Now, here's the thing. We are in a day and age where information is not hard to find, but valuable information is. So because of this, it's causing a lot of confusion. People are getting pieces of the puzzle in one place. And, when they try to piece the puzzle together, right? When they try to piece that entire thing together, they find more information that contradicts what they just learned. So because of this, the sales asset that I would personally create would be a complete training that gives them in-depth overview of how to get to their desired outcome. Okay. So let's start off with my coaching program. I'll do two things. I would either create a short video sales letter that breaks down the entire client acquisition process itself, or I would create a complete video series of how I built out a client acquisition system for my own credit repair business. And in the past, I created something similar, which was called the Client Acquisition Blueprint mini course that made us a lot of money. And it was a short 5 video breakdown pretty much of my entire approach and how we acquire credit repair clients. And the thing about this asset, I promise every time somebody went through that entire video series, those were my favorite leads. Those became like my best testimonials and favorite people to work with. So I love those type of assets because it gives you a complete breakdown, a complete overview of what you do. So that way, if somebody goes through it, you know that person is typically ready to move forward. Now, that's for my coaching program. For my credit repair business, I would pretty much give away a complete step-by-step guide on how to fix your own credit scores. And in this training, my main focus would be to give away insane value. Like I would give away step-by-step instructions on how to do the entire process in detail. I would give them all of the dispute letters that they need and even show them how to remove inquiries in less than 24 hours. And as a bonus, I'd probably attach a list of places that they could go and get funding from. Now, here's the thing. I would give away both of these assets for free. And I know some of you are like, well, Jerry, if you show them how to fix their own credit score, then what do they need you for? Or if you teach them how to generate clients, how to acquire clients for their credit repair business, then wouldn't they just do that themselves? And there's two things that I got to say to that. Number one, you should learn to leverage the reciprocity advantage, which is value that is exchanged for mutual benefit over time. And number two, most people don't want a course. Most people want results. But before they give away their hard-earned money, they want to know that you can deliver on what you say you can. Okay. And that actually leads me to this study that I've been going through about people who aren't completing courses or going through the entire process. I was watching this video by Pat Flynn, right? And Pat Flynn pretty much showed these stats on this day and age. People aren't really going through courses. We're talking about 5 to 15% of people have actually been completing courses, and that's the lowest it's ever been. So this kind of goes back to what I've been saying. People simply want to work with someone who can deliver on their promise. They don't want to actually go through a course anymore. They're tired of that. So when I say leverage the reciprocity advantage, yes, you're going to have a good 5 to 15% that will take action, and they're probably going to prove that my process works, and they're going to be great testimonials. But for the other 85 to 95% that don't complete the course, that may need my help, I can then step in and offer a solution for them. Okay. Now, let me show you an example of how a good asset can dramatically impact your business. So in 2021, I was struggling with my identity, which caused my revenue to fluctuate a lot. And more people were jumping online claiming that they can help others with running Facebook ads. And even though I provided, more than just teaching credit repair business owners how to run Facebook ads, my offer made it seem like that's all I did. So in November, I decided to make a complete shift and change my identity. All right. I wanted to prove to credit repair business owners that I offer more than just teaching them how to run ads. I wanted to show them step by step how my entire process worked and how they can do it themselves. So I decided to host a 3-day workshop starting December 1st, 2021. As you can see in this picture, I posted this inside of my private Facebook group back in November 27, 2021. And then from there, as you can see from these numbers over here, that asset made a huge difference. In October, November, I cash collected a total of about $8,500. After the workshop, I cash collected about $65,000 in December and January alone. There are other factors that impacted these numbers as well, including a major key factor that I'm going to cover when we get to the operational side of this training. But here's the thing. If this isn't enough proof that your identity and your sales assets can impact your business in unimaginable ways, then I don't know what to tell you. Okay. Now, we got the identity and the attraction phase pretty much down packed. Now it's time to select our vehicle that we're going to use to put the client through the actual growth journey itself. So now I need eyeballs to travel in my direction. That way I can pretty much leverage a conversion mechanism of my liking. Then I'm going to speed up the process by running paid ads through the Instagram platform and the Facebook platforms. Now, when I had my office back in 2016, I relied so much on referrals, Google searches, buy mortgage leads, ad agencies, and I didn't have control of my traffic, which is why it didn't last, right? This time around, I'm going to use a conversion mechanism called the DM system. But what's a conversion mechanism? This is the tool you're going to leverage to turn potential leads into an actual customer. Now, before I go into the details on the conversion mechanism, you need to understand why paid ads work to begin with. You need to look at running paid ads as a tool. Paid ads confirm whether or not your offer and your sales assets provides value, or they're missing the mark and they're not attracting any interest. Think about it like this. If I were to not run paid ads, that means that I would have to do everything organically in order for me to get eyeballs on my actual asset. If I don't have a huge audience, then it's gonna be really hard for me to decipher whether or not my asset brings value, because it's gonna take me a long time. So when I'm running paid ads, I'm pretty much speeding up the process for me to gather data. So when I create these assets, whether it's a free credit repair training or whether it's a free client acquisition training, and I place them in front of as many people as possible in a short period of time, I can see what quickly works or what doesn't work by the feedback that I'm receiving, the number of conversions that I'm generating, and the quality of the clients that I'm actually signing up. So after the market actually confirms that my assets and my offer is something that they want, then I can start to invest more money into paid ads so that I can collect more data and then just simply repeat the process. So when people say Facebook ads or Instagram ads don't work, well, that just tells me two things. Number one, you're using the tool wrong. And number two, it tells me that you need to upgrade your client growth journey, whether it's the identity phase, whether it's the attraction phase, or whether it's both. Now, let's talk about the actual vehicle that we're going to be using to run paid ads, which is the DM 2.0. This is pretty much the newer version of the DM system that I created. And for me, the reason I prefer using this system over any other is because, I mean, there's a lot of reasons why. But what we want to do is, we know the goal is to attract as many qualified prospects as possible and convert them into clients. But the vehicle that you use plays a crucial part to the process. And with most funnels, that traditional model, the process goes like this. You grab their attention, you send them to a website or a landing page where they fill out a form. Then they watch a short video sales letter or a mini course or whatever asset that you have. And then after that, they complete an application. And if they qualify, they book an appointment for a sales call. But here's the thing. This approach has too many variables that can go wrong, mainly because you don't have much control over what the lead does once they hit the opt-in page. Now, if your asset and your offer is really good, they'll opt in like crazy. But if you're in the testing phase, which most of us will be when we're just getting started, right? You're going to struggle a bit unless you have a decent sized budget to spend on paid ads. That's why people often call the landing page the brick wall page, because when it comes to, generating leads, there's so much resistance, especially when you're just getting started. Now, with the DM 2.0, on the other hand, this offers a smoother path for not only generating leads, but also getting insights on whether or not your asset and your offer are attracted to people. Once you attract leads, the goal is to generate engagement on your Instagram profile, whether it's getting, new followers, whether it's getting them to watch a video, and, all of those exact tactics I'll go over in a few minutes. And I'll show you the breakdown of how to actually build this out. I just want to show you an overview. And you can also use Facebook for this strategy. It also works really well, but here's the thing. I think Instagram's more effective with the newer version that I use. I'll go over that once I go into the details, okay? Now, here's how this process works, okay? Instead of waiting on leads to fill out a form on your landing page, you encourage them to reach out to you through your DMs to receive your asset. Now, this allows you to have a direct conversation with them right away. And once you qualify them in the inbox, you can then guide them through the rest of the funnel. Okay, just like the traditional method. Now, this approach allows you to, get immediate engagement and also build a more personable connection with the potential leads, making them more likely to give you feedback, schedule an appointment, and convert. And the cool thing about this approach is that they don't have to initially reach out to you in the DMs, right? If they just deviate from the process, right? Let's say they don't go through the DMs or whatnot, and they just go through your content and so forth. Well, the funnel has 4 phases, which I'll go over in a second, that keeps you omnipresent in front of your audience. This way they can continue to see you everywhere until they decide to start to have a conversation with you, or just go straight to a conversion. Like, they don't even have to go to the DMs. They could just get through here and go straight to the application. Now, with the older version of the DM glitch system, what we used to do was we used to create an ad that offered a free training, okay? And then we would take that asset. Once they clicked on the ad, they would get the asset directly sent to their inbox. And then from there, they would receive an automated message with their, free training. And then we would manually go in and message every single lead. If the lead was interested, we would pretty much try to get them to book a call. And if the lead didn't respond or didn't show interest, we would contact them a few more times before we just stop reaching out to them. Okay. Now, this process still works to an extent, but we had to make a few changes because a lot of our clients who use the DM glitch system would get really good results with leads that showed interest. But what would happen is they would struggle when it came to reaching back out to the leads that didn't show interest, and they didn't have a way to stay omni in front of those people. And this was a huge problem because it made it really hard to acquire more clients when you invested more money into ads. Always remember this. Most of the leads that you reach out to, they're not going to be ready to move forward. Only about 3% are going to be ready to buy. Okay. So if you're operating on a smaller scale, you may get away with this by focusing on just that 3%. But once you're trying to scale it up to the next level, it won't work. This is why I love the new changes that we made to the DM glitch funnel, because we created an entirely new framework that not only attracts those leads who are serious about working with you, but it also gets you to be omnipresent in front of those leads who aren't ready to buy. And the goal is to get you on their mind as often as possible until they get either A, tired of seeing your face and they block you, which I hope doesn't happen, or B, they finally decide to take action and reach out to you. And here's the thing. If your sales assets, your ads, your content provides value, then even if you were to get on their nerves to some extent, right, they would still appreciate you and respect your work, which gives you a fighting chance. Hell, every single day I jump on the Instagram app, the first person I see is Alex Ramosi. And sometimes I'm like, oh my God, here it goes again. He's posting another video. Then I watch the video and I'm like, yo, that video was really dope. See, at worst, you want your audience to react like that. So let's go ahead and break down the entire DM glitch concept as a whole. The entire DM glitch concept is based around 2 things. Number 1, the find framework, which is what people actually see on the ad. And number 2, the 4 C's formula, which is the process I would use to get the actual conversion. Now, the find framework is broken down into 4 phases. And in the first 2 phases, we're going to pretty much be targeting a cold audience, as you can see right here. In phase number 1, what we're going to do is we're going to pretty much use what's called follower ads. The purpose of these ads are to get people aware that you exist. We usually call out the audience and ask them to follow us on Instagram. If they follow us, great. If they don't, then we could just retarget them later down the line. It's perfectly fine, okay? Now in phase 2, this is where we present our actual assets to them, okay? Like any sales assets, any training that we have, this is where we pretty much will present that to them, okay? Now, we will do this by calling out the audience, pointing out their pain point, and offering a solution with our free training asset. Now, you can use whatever asset you prefer. I actually recommend that you test out different assets here, okay? Because most of our budget is going to be spent here because we want to make sure that we're bringing in the right type of lead. On the left, you can see an ad that one of my clients ran on Facebook, and it did pretty well. I think she still runs this ad to this day, honestly. And you can see that she launched this on September 2023, and it has a ton of engagement. And if you look down here, you can see within a 4-month span, she generated about 790 leads at $4.17 per lead. And her ad spend was less than $30 a day. Now, the image on the right, this is pretty much one of my Instagram ads where we presented our entire DM glitch framework. This is an ad that did really, really well, and we received a ton of inquiries because of this video. Now, in phase number 3, we're pretty much going to be targeting a warm audience, right? This is where we retarget leads that have already engaged with us. And in this phase, all we want to do is provide value. If you're doing short form content, then you should use the Instagram platform. If you're more focused on long form, then YouTube is where it's at. And we use a combination of both, but just for this particular strategy, we're just going to focus on the Instagram platform itself, and we're going to generate a ton of great leads and get a lot of great results. Okay. Now, in phase number 4, this is pretty much where we're going to retarget leads that have engaged with us still. But in these ads, we're going to be pitching them directly to our services, right? This is where you can, test out different offers that you have. And once you find the right offer, you just pretty much run with it. Okay. And like I mentioned before, most of our budget is going to go into the phase 2 process. So, I would put a ton of focus on testing out different assets, whether it's the free training, the workshop, maybe a mini course, whatever you feel the market will respond to the most. And for us, we've been doing this for a very long time, been doing this for years. So we actually have a folder full of insights on what our market responds to the best. Okay. And potential leads will reach out to you from any phase of the process. So it's not like, hey, phase 1, you have to wait for them to go through the entire phase 4 for you to, generate a sale. No, you could literally get sales just from the follower ads. Okay. And again, the goal is to get them to get into the inbox, to, possibly have a conversation. And then once they hit the DMs, we'll leverage the 4 C's formula, which we're going to talk about next. Now, I need to have a sales process to convert potential prospects into sales, starting with the messenger. This is where I'm going to use the 4 C's formula, and it's broken down into 4 phases. Phase number 1 is the connect phase, where I want to connect with the prospect, and the goal is to grab their attention by focusing on them. Next is the converse phase, where I want to converse with the prospect, and the goal here is to discover what's causing them pain and what's their desired outcome. And then in the commitment phase, this is where I want to get a commitment from the prospect. This is typically where I would get them to agree to jumping on a call. And then in the convert phase, this is where I want to convert the prospect, right? This is where I would actually get a conversion, like a booked appointment, and sometimes you'll get a sale. And the goal is to get qualified leads to commit to a call. Sometimes I'll get leads who've been following me for a long time that, they just pretty much want to just get in the inbox and they want to get straight to business and they want to actually convert. Sometimes that works, but for the most part, they'll book an appointment. Okay. And really that's where you want to aim for. You want to kind of just get them in an isolated environment so that you can, go over their pain points over a call in more detail. Okay. So if you look here, here's an example of a conversation that pretty much happened inside of the Facebook account, right? This is one of my clients' conversations. And during the connect phase, they focus on the prospect's credit goals. The lead responded with a detailed message stating that their goal was to purchase a home and increase their credit scores to a 680 FICO. And in the converse phase, my client asked the prospect about the issues lowering their scores and any action they had taken to fix this issue. Now, this deeper conversation was crucial for understanding the prospect's current situation and challenges. And as the conversation progressed, my client gained a clear understanding on what the prospect's current status was and what they wanted to achieve. Then in the commitment phase, my client got the lead to schedule a call. And finally, in the convert phase, the lead scheduled a call for November 25th at 9 a.m. Now, this approach not only enhances the lead's experience, but it also increases the likelihood of a conversion. This next conversation actually happened in my inbox. And this is on Instagram, by the way. Now, this lead is actually a current client of mine who signed up recently. And as you can see, he initially reached out to me from one of our paid ads using a keyword. Okay. And we started the convo off by, getting a connection with his sales background. And then, we had a conversation about his current situation. and how his goal was to raise his prices and close more deals. And he also mentioned that he worked with a coach in the past and that he was interested in possibly working with us. Then we got a commitment to a call, and we finally got him to book an appointment with us. Okay. And from there, as you can see from the screenshot, he scheduled a call with us on May 1st, which was the same day that he became a client. So now again, as long as you follow this framework of the 4C's formula, then you should have no problems with getting people who are actually highly motivated and highly qualified on a call. All you have to do, you don't necessarily even need like a word for word script. You just need to understand the concept and the philosophy, and then you just got to follow that process, and then you'll get booked appointments like crazy. Okay, to the point where you're going to start canceling appointments left and right because you're going to get so many booked appointments that you just want to talk to people who are just ready to move forward right now. Let's get to the sales call, right? In my earlier years, I never had a script and I never understood the philosophy of sales. I just thought, hey, I have a solution and I'll tell them about my services and they're going to pay me based on what I can do. Okay. Then as I got more experience, I understood the value of having a script and more importantly, understanding the philosophy of what made the process work to begin with, especially when I started selling higher ticket offers. Now, here's the flow that I would follow on my sales calls. Okay. Let's start off with the pre-frame. This is where I set the tone of the call. I want to make sure that they know what my intentions are and I know what they want to accomplish by the end of the call. And also for me, it's super important to identify the decision makers because the last thing I want to do is waste anyone's time. I've seen people overcomplicate this part. I try to keep it real simple and short. In the discovery phase, this is where I dig into any pain points and get a clear picture of what they want. The goal is to break down any barriers and find out what's actually holding them back. In the transition phase, this is where I'll connect their pain points and their goals with similar success stories from some of my past clients or some of my own experiences in the industry. This gives the prospect a sense of relief to know that there is hope for their situation. And with the three pillars, this is where I'll connect their pain points to my three core pillars. These pillars are the key elements that make my process work. The goal is to give them clarity to solve their problems, reaching their goals, and realizing that there's a big gap where they're at right now and where they want to be. Now, with the delivery, this is where I'll outline my program. I'm going to keep this real short and simple to avoid any type of confusion, right? And with the commitment at this stage, I want to get a temp check. I won't proceed with the close until I am certain that they have the clarity that they were seeking. And with the close, this is where I aim to convert them into a client. And with the objections, this is where I address any uncertainty or limiting beliefs. And this can get real tricky because you don't want this to turn into a Q&A session. I've been there and it's the worst. Those Q&A sessions can stretch a 45-minute call into a 2-hour call, and it still doesn't guarantee that you're going to get the close. And this usually happens because there's a real problem that they're not sharing, like having doubts about moving forward with your program. So instead of diving into this endless questionnaire, right, it's better to just take control of the call, pinpoint the real issue, and focus on finding a solution. So again, from my experience, as long as I have these 8 in my sales process, then I'm confident that I can get the deal closed. And that's pretty much it. This is essentially the client growth journey. Okay. Basically attracting a complete stranger, turning them into an ideal client. And then I do this by finding the exact person that I want to work with, build an offer around that specific person. Okay. Then create high quality assets that benefit this specific person. Then I want to leverage the right type of vehicle that's going to guide them through the client growth journey. And when they finally make that stop to me, using the sales process that I just pretty much went over to convert them into a paying client. Now, let's talk about building out the infrastructure model. Okay. This is where I would build out my infrastructure with systems and processes. And the goal is to get my business to run like a well-oiled machine. Now, before diving into the infrastructure setup, let's talk about some of the tools that I would leverage. Okay. And we're going to start off with the CRMs. Now, the first CRM would be for, let's go with credit repair first. Okay. Now with credit repair, I would use Credit Repair Cloud for my client fulfillment. And I think it does a great job with automating the entire process. I also have my own set of dispute letters. So I would upload them into CRC and then I would automate the entire process. Now, I'm not saying that they're the best, but it's definitely my preference. I've only used Credit Repair Cloud. I've tried a couple of softwares in the past, but I just prefer CRC. And this would be the only tool that's credit repair related. Everything else is pretty much going to be for any business model, okay? Which is going to lead us to the next CRM, which is Go High Level, okay? And let me actually zoom into this just a little bit so you kind of see. With Go High Level, this is pretty much an all-in-one solution, and I can use them for my calendar to track leads, email marketing, text, phone, lead pipeline, client pipeline. It's pretty much a solid tool that I currently use now. And here's the thing, it does have its bugs here and there, but honestly, it gets the job done for the most part. Now, if I can execute everything that we covered on this training, then I'm confident that I would quickly acquire a good number of clients. Because of this, I would set up these tools from day one since I'm very familiar with them and I've been using them for a while. However, if you're new to the sales process or you need some time to get comfortable with our sales approach, then I'd hold off on using these tools until you get a solid number of clients in your pipeline. Okay. For credit repair, I might consider using Credit Repair Cloud only because they have a 30-day free trial. But honestly, that's just about it. You know what I'm saying? As of Go High Level, there are plenty of other tools that you can leverage before jumping into that CRM. So again, I wouldn't focus on getting any of these tools yet if you're not familiar with the process, okay? And the next thing that I would also leverage would be job forms. I love job forms. It's free. I would use this for my contracts. I would use this for surveys. I would use this to keep track of like different reports, like end of the day reports, recruiting applications, and all that stuff, right? It's like a Swiss Army knife. So yeah, I definitely love job forms and I use them like as of right now. So for project management tools, even if I didn't have a team initially, like I'd still use a project management tool. I want to keep all of my SOPs and all of my processes organized to prevent chaos. And I'd start with the free version of Trello. And then from there, like I would transition to like ClickUp because Trello is really great for basic needs. I think with ClickUp, they do have other features that I like more. But honestly, Trello does get the job done. And I still use Trello to this day. Now, for communications, for me, I'm going to use Slack, and I would use this for communicating with my clients, for communicating with my team. You can use Slack or Discord. Discord is also good. It has a free version. I use Slack at the moment, so I'd probably just stick with what I know best. And yeah, that's pretty much it for communication. And then as far as like creating courses and community for hosting all of my video courses, managing community and running coaching calls, I'd use School. That's what I'm using now, as you can see pretty much in the screenshot. And it's a pretty solid platform that covers everything I need for my courses and for managing my community. Okay. Now, let's get into building out the actual infrastructure model. Here's an interesting fact. Over 95% of businesses don't have solid infrastructure models, which means most of their clients end up having a bad experience. This leads to a high number of clients leaving every single month, especially in the credit repair industry. And most of these businesses, they don't make it that far because they're already charging low ticket prices to begin with. And when they finally get somebody into the pipeline, that client doesn't stick around for too long. So instead of addressing the real issue, which is the infrastructure model has a ton of inefficiencies, most businesses ignore that issue and they focus on getting more clients and playing what we call the numbers game. I used to be like most business owners. Whenever I had issues in my business, my solution was, hell, we need to sign more clients up. That's our problem. But one thing that I learned over the past decade is that if you don't have a consistent way to acquire, retain, upsell, and get feedback from clients while also creating a streamlined system for the entire process, your business won't have any longevity. And I crashed out over and over again until I finally figured this out. So the first thing I want to touch on are scaling protocols. I would develop scaling protocols because without these, I'm not going to be able to take on any increased workload. Now, the main thing I'm going to focus on here is managing my business by the numbers. So, what are KPIs and why are KPIs so important? First off, it stands for key performance indicators. Basically, these are stats that you keep track of to help your business achieve important goals. See, back in 2021, I was struggling to stay consistent in my business, and I thought I needed more booked appointments and more sales. So I figured if I spent a certain amount of money on ads, I should get a certain number of appointments and sales to be profitable. I thought it was that simple, but the problem was I never really knew what was working and what wasn't. So towards the end of 2021, I reached out to one of my good friends about this issue. He asked me for some specific KPIs, but I had no clue what he was talking about. That's when he pointed out my real issue. I was going in blind every single month. This is why my revenue fluctuated so much. Now, if you take a look at this picture of my performance over a 16-month period, both with and without tracking KPIs, from April 2021 to November 2021, I averaged 7K per month without tracking KPIs. From December 2021 to July 2022, my numbers drastically improved to an average of 34K per month. That's nearly a 5x increase. So in the first 8 months, the most I ever made was 17K. And in the following 8 months, the lowest I ever made was 21K, with peak months of hitting 45K and even 60K. And I know that making those changes to my identity and creating those assets made a huge difference. But tracking my KPIs also played a major role. There are so many KPIs that you can track, and they're all important. I'm not going to name them all or go into details, especially since there are plenty of videos on YouTube that I could recommend. Instead, I'll name 5 KPIs that you should keep a close eye on. The first one being CAC, which is customer acquisition cost. This is the cost associated with acquiring a new customer. This is super important because I need to know how much it costs me to acquire a new client. The number that I would target here would depend on what I would be charging for my services. And being that I personally would be charging a higher ticket, then I could get away with a higher CAC. So that gives me leverage. The next stat would be cost per booked appointment. How much does it cost me to get a booked appointment? For example, if I spent $3,000 on ads and I got 40 booked appointments, then my cost per booked appointment is $75. Again, the number that you're going to aim for is a number that keeps you profitable. This is also going to lead me to the next metric, which is the show rate. I need to know the percentage of people that actually show up to their appointments. It doesn't matter if I get 40 booked appointments if less than half of those people show up to their appointments. For close rate, I need to know the percentage of calls that convert into an actual client. And with cash collected, this is super important because if I have a high close rate, but my cash collected is really low, well, then a high close rate means nothing. I'm pretty much just letting anybody join my program. And once you know these numbers, then you can make accurate decisions based on stats rather than feelings. So those are the 5 main KPIs that I would keep an eye on, but there is a 6th one that's crucial, which is churn. This is the percentage of people who cancel or stop paying. And the best way to keep this number low is by providing clients with an excellent experience. If you can execute this game plan well enough, then you won't have to worry too much about that stat. And overall, without these numbers, you won't be able to run paid ads efficiently. You may get some sales here and there, but the moment that you try to invest more money, it's going to crash. Trust me, I'm speaking from experience. Now, the next thing is core operational procedures. With this, I want to set clear expectations for how we work every day to keep things running smoothly. This way, everyone knows their task, everything stays consistent, and new processes are easier to adapt. Plus, I want to automate as much of the manual work as possible to cut down on errors because, let's face it, we're human, we make mistakes, okay? So why is it important to have systems and processes? As obvious as it sounds, most people that I work with don't have systems and processes. And I know I keep going back to 2021 and 2022, but these were pivotal years for me during my journey, okay? And during this 4-month stretch from April through July, as you can see over here, let me actually zoom in a little bit. During that 4-month stretch, I struggled to handle increased workload from bringing in more clients than usual, right? I was constantly putting out fires. I had a poor onboarding process, and most of my tasks could have been automated, and it was very chaotic and unsustainable. That's why around this time, I would develop core operational procedures that was going to allow my business to operate efficiently on a daily basis. So I would start by creating an onboarding process for my clients and new hires. And I would pretty much automate the entire process. As you can see in the screenshot, this is an example of a SOP that we have for our credit repair business owners that they use for their onboarding process. Now, I would also create SOPs, right, for everything. Okay. Like I'm trying to systematize the entire process. Okay. And for me, I would pretty much document the entire process, keep it organized inside a ClickUp or inside a Trello, whichever one I decide to use. And if you aren't familiar with what an SOP is, it stands for Standard Operating Procedure. And it's a set of step by step instructions designed to help workers carry out routine tasks consistently and efficiently. And this is super important because I need to systematize everything I do and document it. Okay. And if there are any changes that occur, I got to be able to go into my database and make those changes accordingly without any constraints. And this will keep things consistent and it'll allow my team members and I to pretty much be on the same page. And being able to create SOPs is a very important skill set that you have to learn. And this is one of the requirements that I have for any admin person that I hire. And they must know how to create SOPs, okay? And like I mentioned before, when I didn't have SOPs, I would always find myself like putting out fires and I always felt like I was really lost throughout the entire process. And it just made me feel like I had no clue what I was doing. And like I just shared with you a moment ago, I showed you like an onboarding SOP. With this is pretty much SOP that we have for our appointment setters. So when they come in, they know what this abbreviation is. BOD stands for beginning of day, middle of day, and then end of day. So they know exactly what they do as soon as they come in. They know what needs to be done during the middle of the day, and then at the end of the day, they have some reports and certain things that they have to pretty much complete before they clock off. Now, the next thing is pretty much talent acquisition. So let me go ahead and zoom in on this part right here. And at some point, I'll need to pretty much get people to help me grow my business. And I plan to create a conversion mechanism for recruiting talent. This is super important because from my experience, I know that hiring someone when you're desperate and you're overwhelmed is a big mistake. I made this mistake and it made me miserable. Okay. So just like I have a process for turning leads into clients, I'll set up a talent acquisition system to turn potential recruits into A+ talent. And here's a rough outline of how the funnel would pretty much look like. And the first thing you want to do is the recruit's going to click on your ad, which directs them to a short recruiting video sales letter. And then from there, they would proceed to fill out an application. And once they complete the application, they can schedule an initial interview using my calendar. And then finally, on the confirmation page, you can pretty much provide more information about your company. Now, you don't necessarily need to have a calendar step. You can simply, have the recruits just fill out an application and then you can have someone from your team reach out to them. But ultimately, this funnel can be customized to fit your specific needs. You just need to understand the concept of how it works. And there's going to be mainly 3 type of people that I'm going to be focused on recruiting. And the first person is going to be a customer success manager that can take on an admin role as well. So pretty much a hybrid, because I want to offload as much admin work that takes away from my sales and marketing first. And then I want to have someone who can also onboard my clients and provide them one-on-one attention. And I don't want to have to hire 2 separate people for this job in the beginning. Down the line, I would separate the virtual assistant, separate that success manager with a virtual assistant. But in the beginning, I'm trying to save some money. I just want to have one person that can handle this until we get an increased workload, okay? The second person is going to be a setter. This person is going to handle all of the appointment setting messages in my inbox. The third one's going to be pretty much a closer, someone that can take over my sales calls when the time is right. And then as a bonus, I'm going to have a social media team that I'm going to be recruiting. Like I'm just going to have them fill out a few applications. And then what I would do is pretty much create a job form application to track all of my candidates. Okay. So like I said, customer success manager, a setter, and a closer. And then as far as a bonus would go, I would recruit social media team to handle my social media marketing and my content creation. But I would focus on that last. And then I would create a job form application that looks something like, well, this is an application. This is actually the submissions. But whenever they would fill out the application, then we would have a list of submissions and we could go through and actually vet out different prospects to see like, okay, who do we want to actually potentially work with and what kind of experience they have, et cetera, et cetera. Okay. So that's pretty much it for operations. When it comes to building out the infrastructure, it's going to be an ongoing process, but everything I just shared with you will help you manage your business efficiently. So at this point, I have a client growth journey that's going to bring in clients, right? And I also built out my entire infrastructure, which is going to allow me to run my business like a machine. So now the final step for me would be to focus on leveraging my audience and tracking data efficiently. Now, once I have all my systems running and I feel comfortable enough to make a slight pivot, I'm going to focus on leveraging my audience and building a community and gaining as much insight as I can from my audience. And this is super duper important because this is going to allow me to improve my services, stay ahead of the competition. And it's going to make the sales process a lot easier for me because I'm going to attract more people who are familiar with my brand. And one of the things that I'm going to do is I'm going to focus on optimizing my Instagram account. And earlier, we developed an identity and we created an offer based on a specific person that we wanted to target, right? A specific target audience. Now, I want to make sure that everything on my account is centered around that audience. So, for example, if you check out my profile, you'll see that I specifically call out online coaches and credit repair businesses. And my content focuses on topics relevant to those business models. This strategy gives me a lot of leverage when I'm running the DM glitch system because the majority of the leads that click on the ad, they're going to check out your page and see what you're about. So if you have good content, they'll probably binge watch your content and then they'll decide to take action from there. And another thing that I would focus on is pretty much the community aspect of things, right? I kind of talked about school a little bit earlier on, but this is where I would pretty much set up my entire school platform. And I've been using school for a couple of years now, and I love how simple and user friendly it is. And you don't need to have any type of tech skills to host any of your content on here. It's like really simple, honestly. And having everything in one place makes it easier to get engagement from your community. When I used to have a private Facebook group page, I didn't get a lot of engagement on there, but as soon as we switched over to the school platform, like you can see how people are just so engaged and they're just posting different results and they're asking questions and they're just so engaged. And I love that part of it. And when you're just starting out, I would say just use Slack. That'll do just fine. You don't have to spend the fee that comes with this. I think it's like $99 a month or something like that. But once you get to about 5 to 10 clients, I definitely recommend checking out school for sure. And I would also focus on another thing, which is client wins and just getting data from my clients, right? I would focus on occasionally surveying my current clients, my past clients, and even my audience just to see, how they feel about my assets and so forth. And I can't stress how important this is. This will help me gain insights on what they want. And I will document everything inside of my Trello account or ClickUp, whichever one I'm using. As you can see from this screenshot, we track all of our client wins. This is how we know if our process works. This is how we continue to build case studies, right? And more importantly, this is how we get the data that we use to improve our products and our services. So this may seem like it's a lot of work, but I would create an SOP for this process and then I would automate and delegate the entire thing. That way it doesn't take up a lot of my time. And that's pretty much the steps that I would personally take if I were starting my business from scratch. Now, I do have one more thing that I want to go over quickly, something that I just want to touch on before you leave. And this is super important if you're trying to take your business to the next level. Now, if this training helped you at all, right? If you've been running your business for a while, but hasn't gone anywhere, or maybe you're just getting ready to take it to another level and you're currently running into some roadblocks and you just need some help, or maybe you're just getting started. You have the resources at your disposal. You're not afraid of taking chances and you're willing to invest into your business to fast track the process. Then I want you to listen to this part very closely. So I just laid out the entire blueprint on what I would do pretty much if I were to start from scratch, right? Mind you, I showed you proof of concept on top of the fact that I have over a decade worth of experience. So most of the things that I've shared with you are not only from the positive experience that I've been through in business, but I also showed you my pitfalls during this journey. That being said, none of that matters if you take this information and you do nothing with it. And unfortunately, that's what the majority of the people watching this video will do, right? Not all, but the majority. And here's why. And I want to go over this model, which is pretty much called the success formula. So the success formula for entrepreneurship is education plus implementation equals success. Now, information is at an all-time high. And these days, to learn a new skill set is really, really easy. When it comes to implementing that new skill set, that's where people run into resistance. And most people never make it past the extremely hard phase, okay? They continue consuming more content in hopes that they just figure it out one day, right? And this is where mindset comes into play, because if you understand the success model, you'll set the right expectations, right? You'll also understand that you have to implement at the same rate as you learn. Not only that, you're going to expect friction at the beginning, but eventually the goal is to gain leverage as long as you stick to the process. Okay, so if you made it this far through the video and you want to implement the information that I've shared with you, it just boils down to two things. Right? Number one, you can take everything I just shared with you today and get straight to work. Even if it takes you a while to execute, I believe you can implement the knowledge that I've shared with you today and achieve results beyond what you thought possible, as long as you're patient and you work hard. Okay. You have all the resources that you need at your disposal, and I see it happen all of the time. And I have a ton of case studies to back that up with people that just went through some of my assets and they've gotten great results. Now, you can definitely do this alone, but there is a second option where we can face this challenge together, and my team and I will help you implement everything. So if this option intrigues you and you're interested in working with me and my team, then I want to invite you to what I call the Optimal Growth Program. The optimal growth model is broken down into three phases. Phase number one, you want to control your traffic. Since we understand the name of the game is to gain leverage, our entire process revolves around that concept. First, we want to redefine your identity. This will allow you to attract those ideal clients and charge higher rates. Then we want to help you develop those assets and set up the DM glitch system. That way you can start attracting and converting clients quickly. Phase number two, we're going to focus on building out the infrastructure. As soon as we launch that DM glitch system, we want to immediately pivot and focus on streamlining the entire operations. That means implementing those core operational procedures, scaling protocols, and the talent acquisition system that we talked about throughout this entire training. And then in phase number three, we want to own the traffic. So once the DM glitch system is running efficiently and once the infrastructure is built out, then we want to leverage your audience. The goal here is to gain leverage by expanding your audience, building your community, and gaining valuable insights. That way the sales process becomes a lot easier. Now, the way that this works, you'll be working directly with me and my team for the next 16 weeks. We'll help you fine tune your identity. We'll help you build out your systems, your processes, your infrastructure, and guide you on managing the whole system. Now, this is a done with you service, so we will be helping you implement the entire process, but you'll also be just as involved in the process. Now, if you're interested, just click the link below this video, fill out the form, and schedule a call with us. Or you can just shoot me a message on Instagram at Jerry Shadowvaughn, or click the link to my Instagram page that's also located at the bottom of this video, and then just shoot me a message on there as well. Oh, and don't forget to subscribe and like this video, because I do plan on making other videos just like this, but even better. So hopefully you enjoy this video. Till next time, peace.